Hi, on today's practice we will focus on the meridians and Chinese medicine. And I'll tell you more about that as we go. But first, find your way on all fours, similar to a cat-cow position. But just waking up your spine, rolling your hips and your back, arching and curving it, breathing, exhaling, and just moving how it feels good to move. Doing circles with your back. Maybe leaning to your toes and hands, shifting back and forth, stretching, and just feeling your spine curving, arching. And breathing. And then slowly find your way. Just toe squat. And here, we'll be staying here for a while. So you will be on your toes and leaning your knees towards your mat and staying here. This is actually a really intense pose because we will stay in it for a while. So if you want, you can have a pillow under your knees or two, what feels comfortable. So find your comfortable position. I think I'm going to do with one pillow today. And whenever, if the pose starts to feel too intense, you can just go on your knees, roll your ankles a little bit, stretch your toes, curl them, all that, releasing the pressure. And when you're ready, go back. So all those options in mind, begin the pose in the squat. And so staying here and breathing. This is an intense pose that affects all the meridians that are in our lower body, which means the meridians are a huge part of yin yoga and interest in it, because in Chinese medicine, in acupuncture for example, the meridians are overall energy distribution system flowing throughout the body. Not in the same way as blood flows through the body. It's not anatomically visible structure. It's energy pathways that we cannot see, but that still affect our body, our liver, our heart, intestines, all that. Also, that energy is called Qi. Depending who you're listening to, it could be prana, and all that affects the yin-yang organs. We're staying one more minute here. Do the alternatives that you need to, because this is really intense pose. But if you feel pain, get out of the pose. Remember to breathe. Slowly start coming out of the pose and lift your legs up in the air for a little bit. Feel find your way on a, let's say we're gonna do a square pose. So find your way into a loose cross-legged pose. This is where we begin. So sit comfortably. You could have a block underneath you if you prefer, and just stay here. But the aim is to move the shins parallel to each other, our ankles on our top of our knees. But if your knee is too high up in the air, you're not ready for the pose. So just slide them a bit further, opening the hips like that, or just stay in a cross-legged pose. My choice today is not go all the way, because I don't feel comfortable yet. But in a few minutes I might. So staying here. But if you feel more advanced, you can keep on sliding the legs further away from each other. So whatever is comfortable. So for example, this pose affects the liver and the kidneys. All the poses affect the different active meridians. And the meridians are the reason why we get sick and why we live. And as living bodies, there's a lot of dysfunction and imbalance, but then again also balance. You're halfway through. You may go further if you feel comfortable, if your hips open more. For example, lower back pain, mental disturbance, irritation, anger, those type of things are a sign of dysfunction in your liver. So taking care of your liver by doing yin yoga, for example, will ease those symptoms and help your liver be more balanced again. There's a lot of research on Chinese medicine and meridians. So I would recommend looking into it if you're interested. Because we all have different symptoms and why we get headaches and all that might be affecting the meridian in our body, the flow, the energy flow. One more minute here. So take a deep inhale and exhale through your mouth. Again, deep inhale and exhale through your mouth. Keeping your back straight and leg long. Slowly start coming out of the pose, sliding yourself into a cross-legged pose. And now, doing the same on the opposite side. So whichever leg was on top just now, place it on the bottom, and then just begin a cross-legged pose. Exploring from here, going further to the full pose, when your shins are parallel to each other. Or just starting a bit further away at first. And sliding the top leg, the top ankle closer to your lower knee when you feel comfortable. Like right now, I don't feel comfortable going all the way there yet. In Yin Yoga, the reason why we go slow first is because a lot of the poses are intense stretches and intense in general, so the body might think that we are actually hurting it. So that's why it reacts and wants to resist it. So that's why telling our bodies by going slow that everything's okay, I'm not hurting you. The body won't resist so much anymore. Close your eyes, if you still haven't, and just enjoy the silence and the moment that you have right now with yourself and your body. And explore the pose and go further. Or take back a few steps, depending how you feel today. It's your practice. To get a better idea, what are the meridians and the energy flow? You could be thinking of a river full of water that flows. But then again, it doesn't flow freely and perfectly without disturb. If there is a block somewhere. And that's why we feel dysfunctional and stressed and all that, and simple malfunction in our bodies, because there might be a block somewhere in the energy flow. Just like in the river, there's a block, so the water cannot flow freely. So by removing that block, the flow won't be disturbed any longer, But with our bodies, to remove a block, we need to stimulate our energy. For example, by doing yin yoga. So that the energy flow can flow more efficiently throughout our bodies. And the distribution of energy is not restricted. One more minute here. Also, your body might feel completely different on the other side than on the other side. I know for sure that my left side is different from my right side, depending what pose I'm doing. But with yoga, the balance should be there someday. Start coming out of the pose gently, because this is intense pose. So do it slowly. And then, when you're ready, find your way standing on your knees. We will do the camel pose. And you may begin doing the camel pose by having your hands on your back and then just dropping your neck. Or staying up, like this. Or you can begin by leaning back and from here, walking and making the arch in your back, like this. Or you can simply stay here today, if that's how you feel. And slowly walking further with the support of your hands, and then arching your back. Before we begin the camel pose, I'm just going to explain that with Meridians, it stimulates the urinary bladder and kidneys a lot. And if you feel a stretch in your stomach or thighs, it will also stimulate the spleen and your stomach meridians. And if you feel stretch in your arms and shoulders, it will stimulate your heart and lungs. And if you will drop your neck back, if it feels comfortable, it will also stimulate the thyroid. So that's only one example of the meridian flow in our bodies. So let's begin the pose. I'll begin it from here and so start walking towards my knees and arching my back. So do how you feel comfortable. We'll stay in the pose for 2 minutes. So with an inhale, begin the pose. And remember the breath. Remember to go slow. You don't have to be in your maximum right away. want to come out of the pose. If you don't want to stay there for full 2 minutes, just slowly give your neck lock if it was. Start slowly coming back to seated position, and then find your way into a child's pose, which is a counter pose for that intense camel pose. Have your hands on your side so you will be able to curve your back even more. Start coming out of the child's pose. And find your way to lay on your back and hug your knees to your chest. And give a little massage to your lower back. And then find your way into a savasana. Feeling the energy flowing in your entire body that was just awakened by doing these poses. And now releasing it by relaxing in savasana. Little by little, wake up your body and turn onto your right side. Inhaling and exhaling. And start pushing yourself up gently. And that's it for today's practice.